Welcome everyone to Weekend Escapades. Today, a bit of information about Boot Hill cemeteries in the Old West. There's more than one Boot Hill cemetery. Other towns converted their Boot Hill cemeteries into formal cemeteries, such as that in Calico, California. There were also towns that had Boot Hills, but never called them that by term. There are many old Boot Hill cemeteries and graveyards that do not exist anymore, having been erased by time and Mother Nature. So we're going to give you a little story that one of our subscribers shared with us, and it's a bit of a piece of history, and we do appreciate it. Our subscriber writes in and says, I am getting old now, but I have noticed lately how confusion changes the truth, specifically in reference to Boot Hill cemeteries. The facts about them were still apparent when I was a very young boy. There were still remnants and evidences of some graves where there was a post as a marker with the rotted leather of an old boot that had been placed upside down on the marker. My grandfather had told me that the term Boot Hill came from those boot markers. Apparently, men were known by nicknames, or the hat that they wore, or the boots that they wore. These were the three main ways that a man's grave was marked. Over time, it became a sense of dishonor to be buried by a marker with your boots, or a hat, which just blew away. Because this meant that no one knew you well enough or cared enough to make a decent marker or use your name. Thus the term, I want to be buried with my boots on, became a pre-death verbal, or a will to a man's friend and acquaintance that he wished to be remembered with a more respectable marker. A slaughtering of the truth about the term Boot Hill has come out of a newer generation who gathers a false impression from movies and TVs and wet behind the ears tour guides, who are apparently even making plaques at cemeteries that now depicting a complete misnomer of the truths and the terms and realities of the life in the early West. Even the term Old West is used loosely and mostly as an advertising scheme, but there will never be a shortage of people chasing ghosts. It was popular to do so 150 years ago, and it is still popular now. That will never change. We certainly appreciate this story sent in by our subscriber, and we always appreciate your thoughts and comments. One thing to remember is that these old Boot Hill cemeteries, or Old West cemeteries as people refer to them, have been there because people were put to rest way too early, and some violently. One of the most famous headstones that read out of Tombstone is Here Lies Lester Moore, 4 slugs from a 44, no less, no more. And this is just a few things of the Old West that we like to talk about, and we hope you enjoyed this story today. I appreciate your time with us today, and until our next adventure, goodbye from Weekend Escapades.